or comments they would like to make in regard to those minutes? Okay, there being none,
I move that we approve the June 26, 2025 planning commission minutes.
I second.
thank you. Okay, we will vote on that. Rachel,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Glynis,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
and Chase.
Yes.
Yes.
And Tony's yes, therefore we will accept those minutes as they are. Thank you. Polly, one question for you. Items 1, 2, and 3 will pertain to Wild Horse. Can we just lump them together to a date certain?
Yes, but you do have to open up the.
No, to
Yeah.
the public,
But you
yes.
can do all three together.
Items 1, 2, and 3, which are open for public hearings, involve the Wild Horse development. Those will be adjourned to a date certain of August 14th, 2025. And Thomas, just so you know, for the record, I will not be here for that meeting. That is my wife's birthday. That being said, we will now open at the public hearing if there's anyone in the audience. See, one sole member.
Is this just for Elkhorn?
This is
Just
for
for-
Wild Horse.
For Wild Horse, yeah, okay. No, I only have comment on Elkhorn.
Do we have anybody online that would like to make a comment? Public comment in regard to the Wild Horse? There being none, we will close the public discussion of that, and it will be adjourned to August 14th, which is the date for the next planning commission meeting.
Okay, I have a question because I have in my calendar, it's 21st, not 21st, third.
Yeah, I think it's the 21st.
Yeah, I have the 21st also.
Today's the 17th, correct?
Today is.
And so 4 weeks from that,
Yeah,
oh, well,
it's
I was just
it's-
counting 4
yeah.
weeks.
It's
Damn it,
3
I thought I
weeks.
was missing.
5 weeks.
All right, so that will be August 21st is the next planning, they will be adjourned to August 21st, next planning commission meeting. I'll tell my wife to move her birthday.
Tony thought he had a night on.
Yeah,
that's great.
Okay, item 4,
Tony, if you want to just do a quick vote, you can, it doesn't have to be a roll call vote, you can just
Gotcha.
ask if everyone approves.
all right, is there anybody on the commission that has any objection to it being adjourned to August 21st? There being none, it will be adjourned to August 21st. Item 4, discussion and possible recommendation to the town council regarding an amendment of the official town of Hideout zoning map to rezone the parcels known as Elkhorn Springs Development from Mountain Zone to neighborhood mixed use residential R6, residential R20, and natural preservation. Okay, Thomas, do you want to start? I don't know how much we need to really go through the 96 pages that were sent, considering this has been on in front of us at least half a dozen times.
Exactly. So I wonder, do you guys have any particular questions? Do you want to start with that? Or I can go through maybe like there's 10 slides that may be of value, but if you have a question, let's start there.
Okay, I'm a bit confused because on page 16, there is a wonderful picture of this proposed development where there's nothing to the right of the Spine Road. And
So
what do you call it? The golf, Frisbee golf is up there, and the dog park and the parking. And there's nothing else.
So
And I
that
love it.
was, so that was based on your input. At the end of the last meeting, if you remember, Chairman asked you all to submit emails, and I made a list of those emails and sent those to Nate. Part of those requests, one of those requests, a couple of those requests actually dealt with the request, hey, is it possible to move the density to the left side, preserve the right side? So that is an image that we created, that I created and sent over to Nate. Nate, is it possible you could work to preserve this land and put density on the other side? And Nate can speak to the challenges of perhaps doing that, but that was what we sent him as a request. to preserve that corridor.
Oh, okay, so I was wondering why it looked so great on that picture, and then the next one had the street was back in there again, and, I do notice that it looks like we're going from mountain to neighborhood mixed use, residential 6, 20, and natural preservation, but that street that I don't particularly care for is R3.
There is
So are we-
R3 included as well, yeah, we should
But it's
clarify
not
that.
it's not in there, I guess, is what I'm. In point 4 of our agenda.
Okay, that should include in R3 for the larger lots. That's a good catch.
Okay, that explains it. I mean, that explains why.
On that same point, should there be a commercial point of it too?
Are you guys on the agenda? Is that what you're
Yes,
asking?
right.
Let me
Yeah.
go up to the agenda here.
Because there's a commercial aspect to this.
No, but it's.
That's neighborhood mixed use and NMU is a commercial zone. It's a mixed use commercial, so that one's included. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, thanks. Yeah, so on that number 4, it should include R3 residential
Residential
3, yeah, which is approximately 3 units to the acre.
and were those bottom 3, there was another picture on here. Let's see. Exhibit B on page 21. Were those 3 that were down there, were they potentially, because of the slope, might not be able to be built? Was that the case?
The 3 that were on the bottom of the spine road on the right-hand side,
No, the 3 on that loop that I wanted to get rid of.
yeah, so it looks like those have been tweaked a little bit by Nate and his engineer. And we had noted in the comments from the planning commission that you guys wanted to see that all moved up, more of that wildlife corridor protected. Nate could probably speak to it. It doesn't look like anything really got moved up, but maybe there were some adjustments, but it doesn't look like that was addressed.
Okay. If no one else wants to say anything, I have 2 things that would stop me from voting for this. One of them is private roads and the other one is nightly rentals.
Right now, I think Nate and his engineer Paul Watson should be on Zoom. He could speak to the proposed width of the roads that are tentatively proposed to be private. Nate, Paul, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
Paul, you guys are proposing right now that the roads are private. What are the widths of those roads?
That road is, let me tell you. And I think it shows it in some of the drawing sets. They are 50 feet.
50 feet of right of way, and what's the width back of curb pavement?
The pavement is 26 feet, and then you have a 2.5 foot or 2 foot curb and gutter.
Okay.
So 26 plus 2 plus 2.
Current standard, Thomas is.
So right now, the new standard.
Yes.
The new standard is, oh my gosh, I gotta get this right. Our new standard
30?
is 30 feet of asphalt with 2 feet of curb and gutter on either side. Is that right? You remember that?
And PUD.
Ryan might remember that. In the what?
And PUD?
And then there's an additional public utility easement on either side of that, which is approximately 10 feet. I think our total
53.
is our total right of way is 53
Yeah.
feet, yeah. So that's 3 feet shy.
Well, I think that my issue with private roads is I was at that meeting, the Jordanelle meeting, and the people who live in is it Patriot Ridge that's next to us over here?
Reflection.
Reflection Ridge,
Reflection
they were talking about the park and how Wasatch made it. Instead of making it part of Wasatch Public Park, it's their park and it's public, but they have to pay. And so in this case, if we have, if these are all private roads, these people are paying taxes to the town of Hideout to clear the rest of the roads in Hideout,
I think
and
there,
they're paying twice.
That's
They're
right,
gonna have to pay their HOA to clear the
this is a
roads.
discussion that has been going back and forth, but their proposal right now is that all of the roads, with the exception of the Spine Road up to Golden Eagle, that main road up there,
Yeah,
that one would be public. All of the other roads would be private, so you're absolutely right. They would be paying for the road maintenance for those roads, and they would be paying for repairs and snow plowing. That's right.
And for the
It
infrastructure.
puts a burden on them.
Glynis, just to point out one thing, because I don't know if you've been privy to it, but the study that we did, that we had somebody do, Thomas. If these roads go public, that town maintains them. This development is in a huge deficit to the town. Whereas if it's private, the roads are private, it's almost break even. In regard to the money it takes in from taxes.
Jan has been working with town council to bring in a person by the name of Jason Birmingham, who is an expert with regard to roads and funding and municipalities. We tried to bring him in last month for the town council. He wasn't able to make that meeting. I think they're going to try to get him to come to the next meeting to explain the benefits of public and private roads, right? Because certainly we don't have a directed policy right now in town. So we are going to be bringing him in to give us some guidance. Generally, I think that there's a rule of thumb. You have to hit a certain level in terms of population, tax, property tax revenue, et cetera, before it really pays, before you can actually really, as a community, pay for roads. Yet, to your point, communities should generally have public roads. That is
yeah,
pretty common
that's
in a
part of
community.
being
That's
part
right.
of a community,
Yeah, that is a discussion that I think we have yet to have from a very high policy
I think
level
he's
in this
not-
direction.
I think the mayor said. When we met with him today, that he's not gonna be here till September, because he's traveling during the summer.
Oh, so it's 2 months away. Okay.
Well, also, what happens when there's commercial or other public amenities park going through it and you've got, I mean, it seems like it's gonna get damaged by the public and yet the homeowners have to pay for the maintenance, and is that fair? And, you know, it just seems like it's very complicated.
It does get complicated. The HOA would be, in this particular case, as proposed. If you remember, Nate had come in with a couple of different proposals, right? Early on, it was recommended that everything would be HOA owned and operated and funded, right? But there was a request by the community to be allowed to use those trails, to be allowed to use that frisbee
yeah,
golf.
right.
So when he came back in, he, if you remember, he tweaked the community center, took out the swimming pool, which can be a liability, especially if it came into the town's responsibility, right? And then there was the challenge that the town doesn't have a line item budget to maintain a community center, a frisbee golf course, all those trails, the pickleball courts, the buildings, the roofs, the everything. We don't have staff for it. And so I think, to Nate's credit, he kind of took it back and said, not a split the baby kind of thing, but maybe we'll give you guys the pickleball court. There are some revenues that can be made on pickleball courts, right? They don't require a lot of staff, but we'll keep the trails, the frisbee golf course, and I think the dog park, but we'll open it to the public. So to your point, that HOA would be paying for those amenities, and the town would be allowed to use them. It does get a little strange. We have some pickleball courts in town that are like that right now, though.
We could also, you could also incorporate into the NDA that the town can negotiate to take over control of the roads
Yeah,
at a later date.
Or amenities, that's true. So if you thought At some point in the future, we'll have better revenues. Can you do that, Polly?
Well, no, the one thing I just wanna point out is to the road, that might be possible for the community benefits, that type of thing, but for the roads. They need to meet town standards if the town is going to accept it.
Right.
So my understanding is that what part of what's being proposed do not meet town standards. So therefore, the town would never be able to accept those roads.
At the proposed dimensions right now.
Well, under that, those specs, technically, we can't pass this because they don't meet the town standards now.
Right.
Even if it's in an MDA.
You could pass them as private roads, it's just that you won't be able to maintain them or take them over.
So then we can't technically make it, say we want it to be public unless they agree to change the width of the road.
At this point in time, that's right.
And would the people who buy the homes know that it's private? That the HOA is always.
They get a copy of
Disclosure.
all the disclosures. so
Yeah, but
Yeah,
That's on the buyer.
I know,
They
but
all
there's
read it,
pages
that's on
and
them.
pages and pages, and they're gonna call the town and they're gonna say, my road has a pothole in it, come fix it.
And you're right, it's your road.
I also have a question about the pickleball courts. Did we ever even decide that that's something we wanted?
Yeah, I think that
Conversation.
Nate has been working back and forth with, the folks in the community. And I think that the idea of having some recreational amenities over in that area beyond just the Frisbee golf course and trails is important. It's really also a requirement of your subdivision ordinance. We have requirements in terms of amenities, ball fields, plazas, those kinds of things. When you hit more than 75 units, this will be approximately 3 times that. And so the Frisbee golf course, the trails, the pickleball courts are a court of types, the park the plaza that's being proposed, those are required components of any subdivision. So we would want to make sure that you have those recreational amenities for the 229 units.
But the community center, I think we pretty much need a bigger space for things, for events, for anything happening in here.
That's what we were talking about. Where did that,
Yeah,
why is
where did
that
that
taken out
go?
now?
So the community center, I think that, Nate can speak to this a little bit, but I think that there were some discussions back and forth with,
The mayor.
with the community. Yeah, the mayor, I think, has spoken to maybe a couple of council people. I'm not sure, different planning commissioners did. And I think there could have been, different messages that were going out. And so Nate, if you go to page,
19.
Kathleen, if you go to page,
One,
yeah, if you go to page 19, you could kind of see a list of what was originally proposed as part of this development, kind of where it morphed into a round 2 and then a round 3. So I think Nate pulled back on the community center and offered more of a cash dedication to the community. I know that it was last week, I guess it was Tony, the
Monday.
chairman, and the mayor, myself, maybe I was Jan in that meeting, I can't remember. And we got
Just the
together.
3 of us.
We got together with Nate to talk about a bit of blending these two, because I think there were components of both that that the community would benefit by. Certainly, dollars will help us launch Ross Creek as a bit of a commercial recreational center. So that's a nice component, but I think that there was also a desire to see some of those community amenities, pickleball courts in the community center located on that site.
well,
So is, sorry, go ahead.
no,
Before, Thomas, maybe it would be beneficial, before you ask any more questions, just to let everybody on the commission know how this sort of came about. After our last meeting, I asked you guys to all make a list. Thomas went through it, itemized it. I had dinner with Nate, went through it, asked him what he can't do on this list. And that seemed to go fairly well. He said he'd get back to me. Next thing I know, the mayor and he had a meeting, and that's how we got to 4 different iterations of what the hell was gonna happen.
Is version 3 what's
That,
on the table right now?
That is what is being currently proposed by the developer, by Nate, in the current MDA, yes.
Okay, so if I could ask Nate, what happened to the entry sign and the spine trail? Because that was always something that we talked about.
Yeah.
We wanted as a community, it would not only, it would bridge us with other communities. So I guess my first question is, what happened to those? Why were those removed?
Okay, so in this meeting, it was discussed that we would just, instead of do all those things, we would just give cash for those things. And you guys can do with the cash what you want. And so this actual version 3 is off by $500,000. It's off actually by, let's see.
Nate, I can address that if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the first payment is 1.5 million. The second payment is 1.5 million. We estimated conservatively that the 4% of 1% would be about 1.7 million. The total is about 5.7 million.
Yeah.
But
So-
we're missing $1 million plus somewhere. I don't see
Yeah.
that on this plan.
Yeah, so like the first $1 million reference should be 1.5, or no, not, the pickleball is 1 million. If you go down to the next one, cash payment number 1 is 1.5 million currently being proposed. The cash payment number 2 is 1.5 million instead of 1 million. So there's an additional million right there. And then the cash payments at the end of at the time of every closing, I don't know where they come up with this 1.3, and maybe it's because they've did an average sales price, but that we don't believe that's accurate. It's more like 1.7 million, not 1.3. So it's the figures here are short about 1.7 million.
let me ask you a question, only because you're counting the pickleball courts, your expense for that towards this. But to me, that's kind of double dipping, because you're required to provide amenities. For the,
Yeah,
From my understanding, we're not required to provide the pickleball court.
Yeah, I thought
Go
we
ahead,
were
Nate.
required to build all the parks. And we don't, yeah, I mean, we're building more parks than are required also with the trails, the dog park.
Also, Nate, I have to take exception, because I don't ever remember in that meeting Monday where we said that we wanted to can the spawn trail and the sign.
No,
I mean, I
that,
know the meeting
not
got heated at some point, but,
yeah, not in that
I
meeting,
remember
but
saying
it was
that
the,
we wanted to get rid of that.
yeah, it was the 2 meetings with Jan and the mayor. And they said they would rather just have cash for those things.
So I guess with all due respect, Mayor, I feel like there was an end around being done against planning commission. And we have spent months and months and months on this. And now it's, who cares what the planning commission thought? We're gonna bring this to the table. So that's extremely frustrating for me.
Well, I hope,
The spine trail, which we said that was key. The entry sign also, we said was key, and now it's gone.
Well, in the community clubhouse,
Yeah.
that serves the entire community, whereas pickleball, yeah, I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm not one of them.
I agree, I don't think we need pickleball courts, I think a community gathering space is more important.
we can change that. We thought you wanted the indoor pickleball courts.
Well, apparently somebody does.
And we did talk about that, we did talk about wanting it, you're right. For me, it's the things that have been removed, things that have been shifted around after we've spent, again, countless meetings.
Yes.
Trying to reach agreement. And now I feel like we're back to square one.
Well, if you want, we can, I mean, I'm just listening. I've been before you guys at least 6, 7 times, and I'm just trying to get approved. If you guys want the pickleball courts and the the community center, the reason the mayor wanted wanted the cash is because you guys have the property over by Deer Springs that, that you guys could build a community center over there that would be that would not be for everyone, but it would be in the more of the center of town. I really like the logic because it's more of it's more in the middle of the community, where Elkhorn is on the outskirts of the community. So the idea was, we give you guys the money, you have the ground, you build your community center in the center of town, not on the outskirts of town. Makes perfect sense. If you guys don't like that, we will gladly build the community center and take out the cash that we were going to give you guys and build it in Elkhorn.
Did not know that was on the table.
Well, Nate, with all due respect, it doesn't matter what we want, because we can agree to that today,
Yeah.
and a month from now, it's gonna be changed when you go in front of the town council.
Yeah, right.
Well, they listen to you guys. I mean,
I do agree with you on the sign and the spine trail.
I mean, I just feel like we're allowing a lot higher density than.
I'll
was
tell you what,
initially-
I will personally, my partners, sorry.
No, we're not getting any of them.
Sorry, I don't want to speak over you. I'm sorry. I will personally throw in the sign and the spine trail with my partners are done giving. We added $500,000 after our meeting with Tony and the mayor of what we thought we were going to do. I will personally throw in the sign and the spine trail, engineering, and to build the sign. If that's going to stop you guys from voting yes. I would like to go to the town council with the yes vote. I will throw that in with my own money because my partners will not do it.
Nate, can I just add a logistical question, or ask a logistical question? In the MDA that's attached to this, it doesn't say that the first payment is 1.5. But Eric, are
No,
you saying the
it
first
is.
payment is 1.5 million, and the second payment, I do see that. That is an error in here. That's an error on my part. Cash
you
payment
remember-
number 2
Yeah,
is listed in the MDA as 1.5 million, but in the MDA, it lists cash payment number 1 is 1 million.
Yeah, so Eric,
Yes.
let me just answer this. This is after our meeting with Tony, the mayor, and you, Thomas. I sent you guys all three an email that says we will up that to 1.5 million as the first payment. And
yeah, so
keep
that's,
everything the same.
5 and the second is 1.5.
Yes.
and the first one's 1.5 now.
Yeah.
You're right, Thomas. It does say in the MDA 1, but that's because we agreed to the additional $500,000
Okay,
in the first payment after we sent you that.
okay, so it's 1.5 and then 1.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we could, I mean, if you guys want the clubhouse rather than the pickleball courts, let me tell you, we do a lot of communities, and more so the Holmeses than myself. The communities don't get used very much. The community centers, they don't get used very much. People will have their own barbecues at their own house. The bigger, yeah, we're open. I'm just saying it. I think, in my opinion, the indoor pickleball courts will get used more because of when the weather's bad, you're going to use them, and even when the weather's good, it's windy in the afternoons. So.
Well, I had no idea that the community clubhouse was looking to being moved to potentially the
Ross Creek.
Ross Creek. So I'm fine with it not being up there.
I think that makes a lot of sense, just hearing this today, to move that clubhouse down there in the center.
Is the land on which the pickleball court sits, is that then town owned?
Yes, that will
The
be
proposal is
dedicated.
that would be town-owned land.
That'll be dedicated to the town.
And Nate, that is the only piece being dedicated to the town, right?
Yes,
Frisbee, of course, the dog park, the plaza would all be owned, maintained by the HOA as common space, right?
yeah, which makes sense, because I don't want to cost the town money, and to maintain those things costs money. And so, and we will be very upfront with our buyers that this community is paying for these things, but the entire community of Hideout gets to use them. And so once you disclose that, they can choose whether to buy at our place or go down the street and buy somewhere else. And so You know, we'll have everything drafted up and they'll know exactly what they're buying, know exactly what it's gonna cost with the HOA. And so, you know,
That, hey, Nate, that small commercial lot will also be dedicated to the town. Is that correct?
yeah, we said, no, we would like that just in case we ever end up building there.
So that's a discussion for planning commission and council, if you would prefer the land be dedicated to the town. Land banking is, of course, you guys have mentioned how important it is to the future of the town, so that would be a potential condition or discussion you can certainly have with Nate. Nate, one of the challenges with that piece of property is, I don't know if there is enough parking for a commercial development there. It's really small, it's pretty steep slopes. That might be something that we look at reconfiguring, because I think you noted almost a 14,000 square foot building on there.
No, 14,000 square foot lot. A 14,000 square foot lot.
It's a 14,000 square foot lot.
Lot.
Oh, okay. Or
Yeah.
a commercial building of a size to be determined?
Yes.
Okay, so then the question is, would you prefer to have the land bank it, or something down the line in the future? That's a discussion for you all. It is a small piece of property, but.
I mean, in my opinion, it's better to let a developer own the property. And I mean, if you really want to, if you want it to be developed, if there's a need for it, then we'll develop it. You give it to the town, it would be hard for it to be developed. But speaking for myself, Eric, do you care if we give the commercial piece to the town? I mean, what's your opinion? I don't know where the homes stand on this.
Yeah, we haven't discussed that. I mean, hold on just a second. Sorry. Let me get my video on.
You're on.
But that was part of the cash payment. We took the commercial out because we're giving them cash. Now they're coming, I guess. That was the trade-off. So I guess the question is, does town want to give some of the cash back for that piece? Commercial?
There's two ways to think about this, I think. If you want Nate, the developer, to build it, you probably need to put a timeline by which it would be built. The alternative would be you request the land dedication and you can give it away to a developer 10 years from now when you're ready for commercial development, and you would have some control over that commercial development again, or Nate and his team are given a timeline by which you want it built, because the sales tax revenue is probably what you're aiming for.
How about this? How about something like this? If, give us 5 years to have it built. If we don't build something in 5 years, it reverts to the town.
Do that.
I like that.
Where is this?
It's right next to the dog park and frisbee park and trail parking.
Got it.
The other thing is that parcel, I mean, the way that it's written right now is that the side or what gets built is 100% within the discretion of the developer.
Right, so if you were I think Nate made a fair offer, so if you were going to say, build it within 5 years, or it reverts to the town, I think in the MDA, you would want to put in what kind of commercial you would allow in that particular location. A minimum size, a maximum size, maybe it's small scale retail, restaurant, pub, that kind of thing. I think you want those parameters put in there.
And but I also think you need to be careful, because we should be happy if we get anything over in this area. I mean, it's not like it's a Walmart piece of property. It's, you know what I mean? I would hate to be
No,
so
but I think it's
so
a neighborhood
restricted.
commercial. You wouldn't want storage there. I don't think the neighbors.
No, yeah, then that's not
Commercial,
considered
but you
commercial.
wouldn't
What
want
if,
that, right? I think you
Thomas-
want to put parameters on that.
Yes.
Thomas and Polly and Tony, what if we, I think for me to build anything, I have to come back before you guys. I'd have to get planning commission approval anyway.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the way it's currently written in the MDA, he does. Yes, currently in the MDA that he proposed, he would have the discretion to build whatever the hell he wants there, right?
So I think Nate, I think it would be fair to have guardrails on there with regard to the kind of commercial, not the specific, type of, a chain or whatever, but I think guardrails would be necessary.
Okay.
So Chair, I don't know if you want Thomas, I know that you've seen this project a lot, but I know that at least when I reviewed the MDA, you know, there've been kind of fits and starts and you've given feedback and there hasn't always, there's been another iteration that it's kind of different, you know, so maybe it might be good for the planning commission to have a presentation by Thomas to just go over kind of the high level of what is being requested, if there have been any changes, what variances they're asking for, and if there have been any changes there, kind of how reactive is this version to, at least what the planning commission requested, and I recognize the kind of non sequitur where you have, you know, I think that Nate was trying to respond to a meeting with the mayor, but, and, you know, but not the whole commission, so
Yeah.
it would be helpful for the planning commission, I think, to just kind of understand what's before them and how that is responsive to their past comments.
Want me to
Can I
work?
ask another question though?
Sure.
Is there in here, did I miss somewhere, is there a landscape plan that shows like what trails, what amenities in the park he's proposing?
Yes, it's in section P1 through P5.
So it'll be at the very end of the document. It's the very last set of, so it'll be the last 4 pages of the entire packet. There is a landscape plan. We did note that we would need some additional detail and some additional trees because there are a fair number of retention basins with you know, infrastructure that we would want to make sure is screened, certainly from 248, but even from some of the internal road network. So there's some additional landscaping that we would require. If you take a look at those last 4 sheets, you'll also see the trail system that is being proposed in the Murdoch Hollow. You'll see that pretty well laid out. I think that's in maybe exhibit, let me see. Is it M? My computer's very slow.
Page 86. Page 86.
86.
I believe there's 9 different kinds of trails. Flow
That's right. It's on page 86.
Hiking, mixed use. Hiking.
Yeah,
So
I
you'll see
a question.
where
I didn't-
it's proposed for Murdoch Gulch in there. And then you can see on some of the prior exhibits, the area where the frisbee golf is proposed.
And Thomas, if you go down, you can read about each trail, right? Yeah, right. How wide they are, and then at the bottom there's a summary. But there's bike flow trails, there's hiking trails, there's snowshoe trails, all different kinds of, like I said, there's 9 different trail systems in there.
That's cool.
To me, this is the coolest part of the development is all the trails that'll be built.
Yeah, that's nice.
Can I answer one question on the roadways? Or we can come back to it. I mean, I think there's 3 reasons why we are asking for private roads. The first is we're 3 feet short, and part of that, and Paul would have to answer this question, but part of that is we're offsetting our buildings, you know, 4 feet in front, then 4 feet back, 4 feet in front, 4 feet back. to meet that requirement. That's number one. And then number two, we have all that, is it perpendicular or is it perpendicular parking around that park, the
It's 45-degree.
45-degree angle parking, which doesn't meet your code right now. And then our second access is about 15% slope. And that's just, is that just an emergency access, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah. So those are the three reasons why we're asking for private roads. One is for parking around the park, and two is we're 3 feet short. And the third is the second access is over the 10-foot or 10% grade.
So Thomas, do we have, I see in here, there's a sheet that talks about expenses. Do you have information on that? If they're private roads versus public roads?
Yes, let me,
What page is that?
It's like a placeholder page.
I will show you, I will. Am I able to share by chance? Can I share my
Yes.
screen?
35.
So I will share with you a couple of the pro formas that Rob Sant ran for us. So I will not explain them nearly as well as Rob Sant, but I will show you the numbers he ran. So if, can you see that? Okay.
Because Thomas is sharing.
Am I okay to continue or no? Should I wait?
No, you're sharing, you're fine.
Am I okay? Okay, so can you guys see this? Can I make this a lot bigger? You will see here, well, this one Rob ran this at 229 doors. And he took out the commercial, and the sales tax that was originally envisioned for this project, where there were going to be the 3 pad buildings. So those are out of this equation. So this assumes no sales tax revenue. And this one assumed, based on the planning commission last meeting, there would be no Airbnb, there would be no nightly rentals, I should say, okay? So this one assumes the property taxes and private roads being run for 20 years. Now, can you guys actually see those numbers or no? No?
Not yet.
We're getting there, sorry.
Let me see, does that make any difference? Does that make any difference, or do you want me to try to explain them or state the numbers to you? So I'll kind of just run across. So assuming the project were to be constructed, begin construction, year 1 would be 2027. The bottom line up there, total revenues minus expenditures, is about $8,000. As we move across the build out, we get up to about $50,000 of revenues minus expenditures. There are public safety expenses, there are public works expenses associated with any development in the city. Those aren't just associated with roads. So those expenses would continue to be incurred as part of this project. Property tax, as more and more units are built, more and more property tax would be added. We also get franchise taxes, electric and natural gas taxes. So if you can see my cursor here, by the time we're at about 2034, revenues over expenses are about $50,000 annually. By the time we get to build out back here in 2046, year 20, the revenue over expenses is about $17,000. The reason for that is, according to Rob, he could explain this much better than me, the property tax stays relatively static. Yes, assessed values may go up, but when assessed values go up, as he explained it, they tend to be offset by a lower tax rate because property taxes generally stay pretty static across the board. Sales taxes would be different. Sales taxes would continue to go up. Expenses, on the other hand, while the property tax may stay relatively static, and again, this is a conservative estimate according to him. Expenditures do go up about 2.7 or 3% a year. The cost for staff, the cost for materials, all of that does go up. So by the time you get to year 20, your net positive annually is about $17,000. And that would decrease a little bit every year thereafter, because again, property tax is relatively static, expenses go up.
This is the private roads version.
This is private, so let me stop sharing and go to public. Okay. I'll give it a second. Let me unshare and then reshare. I don't know why that's doing. None of you see anything on your computers, right? Any of the folks with?
No, I'm not. We have the agenda stuff.
Okay, so I'm not sure why that's not populating up there, but I can walk you through it relatively quickly. Rob also ran the numbers at 229 units with property tax as the revenues and energy sales tax, electric, natural gas, our franchise taxes that we get as revenues, same as the prior table. And then he ran the expenditures for general government, public safety, and public works. This time for public works, it roughly doubles in the cost associated with public roads, maintenance, et cetera. So when we run this one across, I think last time in like 2034, we were around $40,000 net positive. In this case, we'd be about $50,000 net positive, but as the project continues to build out, as the, oh, now you see it. Okay, sorry. There you go. Let me blow it up a little. As we move across here, last round, I think we were around 50,000+ by the year 2034. This one we'd be about net positive at about 43,000. But as the project builds out and is completed in 2046, 20 years out, you would be in the hole about $2,000 a year, and that would continue to become a greater number in the hole as you move forward. So the project would actually become a bit of a cost. With that being said, as Nate has proposed, if you were to take some of the dollars that are being proposed as part of the cash payment and put that toward building out commercial, if you think commercial, recreational commercial, a community center down at Ross Creek is a better bet, better viability for commercial. There could be some sales tax revenue made up there as a result of the infusion of cash. Move public works, open that site up and get the community gathering spaces. So it's a bit of a trade-off that is worth consideration.
Well, also, if we wanted, if they were gonna push to make them public roads, it would have to be with the builder, the developer expanding the road width.
Right.
You're gonna lose the parking for the park, and you're gonna lose the secondary means of egress.
You can't lose a secondary.
Well, the one that he's proposing would have to be redone or redeveloped.
It would have to be
Because of the
redone.
flow.
Yeah, because he's at 15%. That, just so you all know, that's the driveway that pretty much exists right now. That would be used as the secondary emergency ingress egress. That is a pretty steep drive right now, but it's a driveway, so that's acceptable. But becoming a public emergency ingress egress, it would have to be changed. You would have larger retaining walls. You would lose some of those lots to get that road leveled out, to get it up to the development.
correct me if I'm wrong, Thomas, but if. Even if the developer want to do the wider roads, that would basically call for a reconfiguration. Of a lot of the plats.
I think it would call for a complete redo of the site plan that you see, because I think that when Paul, his engineer, ran those, he was running those widths and figuring out cut and fill based on those exact widths, so that it would increase cut and fill. Some of the side slopes off the roads would change, they would increase.
Can we have Paul speak to that? Because do you guys care to hear Paul Watson?
Sure, Paul, give us your rundown.
Yeah, and if you want, I can share my screen and show you what's going on, if that helps. But Nate talked about a lot of it. There's some things that just don't meet the city spec, like the 45-degree parking, and so we would lose all that parking in front of the park area, gathering area. The roadways get a little bit bigger, but we've already budgeted 50 feet of right of way. So if we move the roads bigger, yes, your grading gets a little bit bigger, and your retaining walls and everything get bigger and so forth. And so this is a roadway cross section that we've built in other parts of Hideout over the years, and they've seemed to work really good. And so that's why we felt pretty comfortable about the 26 feet of asphalt, and going with the private width. But yes, if we have to go public and I have to hit certain grades on certain areas and intersections, then these roads will get pushed around a little bit, which means more earthwork. I'm not sure if that answered it well enough or not.
No, I think that helped, thanks. They're just thinking.
If I don't.
So is there anything else in item number 4 that you really haven't covered?
Let me see, Alicia, could you go to page 25? So I just wanted to make sure, since you guys were asking about it, you can kind of see here the trail network.
Stairs.
And you can see the stairs. I can't get that annotation to work. But you can see the trail network is over here. That's in Murdoch Hollow. You can see the dark blue lines are, I think those are the wider trails, the asphalt trails that are kind of connecting the community, not unlike what we have in most of, what we did in Lakeview, Deer Springs, et cetera. And then, of course, you've got the stairwells between the two, but you can kind of see that network. And Nate, I had a question.
Yeah.
Those 16 acres with the trails in Murdoch Gulch, those would be deed restricted, not to be built on, and those would be HOA common area and for the public of Hideout, right?
100%, yes.
Okay.
How many parking
annotate
spaces
now.
How many parking spaces?
for the park?
Paul, do you know how many parking spaces there are the 90 degrees at the park?
Right now there's 17.
Alicia, could you go to just a couple more? You guys asked for a couple of things I wanted to make sure you saw because you asked for it at the last meeting. Could you go to page 23, PDF page 23? So I think you guys had asked about some of the slopes. This map gives you a pretty good indication of where there are 30% or greater slopes. There is some development on 30% or greater. That is a waiver that's being requested in the MDA, but for the most part, you can see there was an attempt to really keep the development away from the 30% slopes. If you look here. Can you see that area right there? That's the area that is being proposed for commercial. That's that 14,000-ish square foot pad. There are some steep slopes there. It's a little bit of a tight area, but that is the area that would either be the land dedication or at the after 5 years, just to make sure that that is clear to everybody. I know that a few of you in your email to the chairman that I sent out, and Glennis, you alluded to this a little bit earlier, had some concerns with this area up here. Is there any way to push some of those lots up and away from the gulch? Because down here is a resulting stormwater basin. And it's getting pretty deep into the wildlife corridor. I know 2 or 3 of you had requested the applicant to try to move that up. I don't know, Nate or Paul, were you guys able to take a look at that? Were there any opportunities to tweak that a little bit, just given that you're going pretty deep into the lower elevations of the gulch?
I mean, we have tweaked it a little bit, but I have to put the detention basin at the lowest point of the road right in that area. And so just because of gravity, I'm kind of forced to be in that area.
You know, if that's an issue with you, Don.
We have not run this plan by them. We just got this one last week, so we haven't run it by them. That is something we would definitely want to do because they've been working diligently to get that wildlife corridor under 248.
The one thing you can see is that we pushed those up a little bit. We still have the Frisbee Park and Dog Park, but we did take out the 10 units, 10 townhomes that were on that side of the gulch. Yeah, right there. We took those out.
Nate, one of the things I noted in one of the slides, I can go back and find it, is this area in here. I know you added a couple of units in there. We would need to remove 1 or 2 of those to open that up for the mini wildlife corridors to get them moving through there, so that pattern can remain, but it's a minor detail.
Okay.
As far as the detention ponds in the wildlife corridors, I mean, I have deer and elk in my ponds all the time. I mean, it's not a structure that's in there. It's just basically a dirt hole and a berm that gets revegetated with sagebrush and wild grasses, and you really don't even know it's there from a wildlife standpoint.
No, that's a good point. Alicia, could you go to the next page down, 24? Because I think this speaks to what Paul was just pointing out. You could kind of see on this page, you could start to see where the area circled in red. You'll see where the man-made retention basins would be. You could start to see that it does significantly alter the slopes. You see a lot of cut and fill, especially the one down at the bottom along 248, which is an area we would definitely want to see more landscaping surrounding that particular area down there, because some of the infrastructure associated with them were pretty severe.
Yeah, we 100% agree to landscape.
Yeah, these are all going to get topsoiled and reseeded, and I mean, you'll notice them in the first couple of years, but after 5 years, you're not going to see them just because it's just going to be natural grasses and shrubs.
And then the only thing I think I'd want to make sure I convey to you all is at the last 2 planning commission meetings, there were some requests. Alicia, could you go to PDF page 28 actually? There were some questions about the architectural design community character, that we wanted something that was going to be a bit more differentiated. We don't have that yet in the design guidelines. And so what you see in this packet is a bit more typical, kind of a Deer Springs or a Lakeview product. So if you did want a different architectural character or an additional architectural character added, that would be something that we have to look through. We haven't, that has not been
That
done.
would also have to go through the design review committee also.
And that has to go through the DRC, that's right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember, actually, do we have? Are the only roads? We have the main road going through. There's not a secondary road or exit or,
Is there a secondary road or
Yeah.
exit? No, for day-to-day vehicles, they would utilize that spine road, that is, the existing emergency access road for Golden Eagle. That would be their, ingress egress. And, Alicia, could you go to page 33, PDF, page 33? The area up here would just be for emergency vehicles.
so there would be an emergency exit.
Mhm.
There would
There has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would crash gate that area.
I know there were some other questions with regard to layout. If you were to look in this area down here, this is a pretty linear row of townhouses. We probably want a bit of different articulation and setbacks. To make sure.
Aren't you limited by, isn't it pretty steep
It's
there?
pretty steep there, but I mean, even if it's just a few feet, I think that we would want to work with the applicant if you guys were to recommend this. I note that we need to open this area up for the mini wildlife corridor. The other issue that was brought up at the last meeting was, do we have enough housing typology differentiation? And some folks mentioned, could we have some cottage courts, or could we look at some of these areas, do smaller lot development, but also smaller house development that appeals to a different demographic to get into the community? What if we had, 15, 1,750 square foot cottages? So that was another item you all asked for that has not been included into this.
Well,
update.
just there, we have three different style of lots that we will build three different types of homes on there. I mean, we'll have several different styles. So, I mean, just because you call them cottages, we could say our smaller lots are cottage lots. So I mean,
What's
I
the
do-
square footage of those houses?
well, it hasn't been designed yet. Paul could probably tell you what the building footprint is, but we do have 24 stack flats, which will be, anywhere from 12 to 1,800 square feet, I would imagine. Like I say, for us to go and design the buildings and not have any approval is really hard, because it's about $150,000 to design those two buildings. And not knowing if we were going to get approved or not, we haven't designed those, but we will take those to the design review committee once they're done. Obviously the bigger lots will have the biggest homes and the best views. And then we have a medium size home, and then we have the smaller home, which is probably that about 1,800 square feet. And then we have several different uphill townhomes and downhill townhomes. So we have 4 or 5, even 6 different style housing in here. So,
What's the largest one?
the largest lot is probably maybe 3/4 of an acre.
Well, what's the largest house, the square footage?
Just a guess, 4,500 square feet to 5,500 square feet. The homes have not been designed.
Largest lot that I'm seeing is around 21,000 square feet.
So a half acre.
Put those guidelines in the end.
They will be in the NDA, and they're exhibit J in the NDA now. It's just that they haven't been updated based on the planning commission's recommendation to get more diversity of architectural character in there. So they are in your package. So if you have a moment, take a look at exhibit J. There's probably 30 pages in there. Should be in there.
Is that at the end?
It's kind of close to the end, yeah. But those would have to be updated. Nate, is that something that you guys would be agreeable to do, to look at different kinds of designs, housing, architecture, so that it brings an alternative character?
100%. I mean, you guys are in charge of the design, the DRC, so 100%.
Alicia, could you, just one more page, could you go to for me? I'm sorry. Could you go to page, PDF page 26? This is something we'll want to confirm with the applicant is pursuant to code section 100834. 3 acres of 3 acres per 100 units are required for active ball space. And so this kind of leads into the pickleball courts. It can be active ball field space, it can be parks, gathering areas. Nate, Paul, we'll need you guys to do that calculation to make sure we've hit that, because we haven't allowed for a waiver in the MDA for that, just to be
Yep.
clear.
That's good. We're totally fine there.
And then to Polly's earlier point, just to make sure everybody is aware, could you go to PDF page 34? These are the waivers and exceptions that are being requested in the MDA. So sensitive land ordinance, there are going to be development, some development on slopes exceeding 30%. There will be some cut and fill that exceeds our 5-foot maximum cut and fill. There will be areas that are in excess of 20 feet of cut and fill. The public space, we have to confirm the amount of acreage. We'll look at that. Right now, that's not a waiver. Some retaining walls will be in excess of 10 feet high. It looks like the highest ones are going to be about 12 feet. The short-term rental, that's a discussion. I know that it was in early and now it's not. That should be confirmed. And then the lot sizes and setbacks, we have a couple that are noted in the MDA where we've reduced the rear yard setback to preserve some wetlands that sit behind those units.
That's
think
on,
that's all.
I think that's on 2 units, two
It's
homes.
44 to 45, I think, yeah. And that's all I have. That's all. That's it. It's gone.
Holly, I have a question for you. Seeing that there's been like at least 3 or 4 different versions of the MDA. Can we
Do one.
just listen to, can we address item 5 and then without voting on item 4? So everybody can hear what the exact MDA is as it stands now,
So just go out of order. Don't do anything on this one. Go into 5.
and discuss 5, and then come back and vote on 4.
Sure, yeah, you don't have to, you can kind of, they're so tied together.
No,
That is fine.
that's what I thought, but I just wanted to
Yeah,
make sure.
no,
Do any of the commissioners have any other questions in regard for Thomas and or Nate and Paul?
So are we short-term renting or not?
That will be in the interest in the.
Oh, that's in the MDA.
Alright, that being said, Thomas, do you want to take us down the road for number 5?
Sure.
Did you want, do you want to do the public hearings both at the same time?
Yes.
So, okay.
Alicia, could you go to PDF page 39? So this, if you guys have the package, you may want to walk through it with me. I don't know how well you can see up there. The recitals are pretty straightforward in this MDA. If you go to the next page, you'll get to the concept plan if you keep going down. We do want to, if you were to forward a positive recommendation for this to the council, we want it to be very clear that the density at 229 units is not a vested density. It is a maximum density, but it is subject to all town codes. In the field, issues that might arise, engineering, drainage issues that could be reduced in the name of planning, zoning, engineering codes, and or public health safety reasons. We just want to make sure that if something happens in the field, that there is recognition that that's a maximum. Let's see. Oh, that K section, if you go down a little bit, section K, it's got the highlight around it. You guys will need to address how you want to deal with the 14,000 square foot commercial pad. Do you want, right now, it's sole discretion of the developer. Do you want to do 5 years? Developer has 5 years to build it, and or then it reverts to you, and probably put some guardrails on the kinds of uses in that area, the types of commercial uses. You scroll down a little bit more, Alicia, you'll see that the MDA outlines it's 139 single family units. The townhouse units are up a little bit to 66. Stacked flats are in at 24 total units. I think that's 12 units a building. There are 2 buildings, and you've got that commercial space. You keep going down, Alicia. I'll go through this quickly. Keep going down, keep going. Keep going, get past that next page as well. That addresses the commercial pad. We have to come to a decision on that. Keep going down. Let's go to page. We went through the waivers. Go to page, please, 43, PDF page 43. Maybe that's easier. The bottom of PDF page 43. That's with the design and architectural guidelines. We want to make sure that there were 3 people from the town, 2 people from the developer, so that we didn't have an even number, and we're always at loggerheads with regard to a decision there. If you go down to the very next page, we might need an additional exhibit with regard to confirming what lands are untouched, sensitive lands. We do have an undisturbed map. We want to make sure that that is fully undisturbed, untouched land.
I believe we have that. Maybe if it's not in there, that's easy for us.
I think you might have supplied that, but I just made that note in there.
Okay.
If you go down a little bit further to PDF.
Yeah,
page
that was
40.
supplied, by the way, yeah.
If you go down a little bit further, this is the language with regard to the indoor pickleball courts. Those would be dedicated to the town. If you go down to the next page, PDF page 46, you'll go down one more. These are the developers' obligations for mitigation of impacts. Again, pursuant to both Eric and Nate earlier, where that top line, where the top number says $1 million, that's the 3rd line down. If you can see that up there, that would be 1.5. The second contribution would also be 1.5. That is noted in here. That was my mistake. There was some discussion with regard to the 0.4 of 1%. Could that go up to 0.5 of 1% for every sale? It's about $5,000 or $6,000. Could that go up a little bit more? They noted that they estimated that would bring 1.75 million to the town. When we ran our numbers, we just assumed the average sale price was 1.5 million for the units up there. That was just a base so that we kept it consistent. That was a little lower than a 1.7 million take at the end of the project for the town. It was around 1.3, but property values going up, you could see that go up. All of that to say, could they increase that to 0.5% and add a little bit more to the town's revenues?
Well, and let me just jump in about that. You know, I've been kind of thinking this through when I've kind of heard this new iteration. And, you know, while it is allowed, obviously, to give some kind of compensatory amount related to a development agreement. And I know that money can be fungible, but I think it's important to articulate what is that money for? You know, it's not just you can buy your way into more density, right? Like it has to be tied to something that the town that's related, that's a community benefit related to this development agreement, to what the gives are.
Well, not that I disagree with you at all, but don't you think that would be better suited for the town council to handle?
Well, it's both of you, right? You're making the recommendation of whether
Yes.
on the.
Can we make a recommendation that the town council decide what it?
I mean, and with all due respect, the way this project has gone, whatever,
We do.
everything we've been looking to do has been changed through different meetings and whatever else between the people on the, in administration and the town council in meetings with Nate, so.
Well,
With all
I mean,
due
you guys
respect, I think
are,
it's kind of a moot point, because we basically have the attitude that whatever we recommend doesn't matter when it comes to this, because of what's been done previously.
I
In regard, and I don't mean that only in regard to moving forward to the town council and the administration.
Well, we can give some.
Can I just say that I understand what you're saying, and I understand kind of where we're at today. You have a state mandated responsibility to make a recommendation to the town council. And, you know, the town council comprises of 5 council members and a mayor. And it's the 5 council members that are ultimately voting. Those 5 council you know, you have all been appointed with advice and consent of that council. So, I can understand your frustration. Ultimately, yes, it is the town council's decision. But I do think that you have all been, members of this body because you bring a lot to the table for them to think about. And so if, despite your frustration, I wouldn't just wash your hands of it, I think it's really important for you to give your input, and if they don't follow your input, then maybe it's time to have a joint meeting with them to understand what they're, you know, why not? But, if, you know, the money, if you
So-
can tie it to something.
So basically, we can make an addendum that all monies derived from that go to the development of the Ross Creek project or something. Or the new maintenance center.
Community center to launch commercial, that would be the sales tax revenue, because we don't maybe think that this is, if indeed that is what you think, we don't think that this is the right location for commercial. There could be a nexus for that.
Or even, as Glenna said, for a community center at Ross Creek, to
Yeah,
be even more specific.
yeah.
Right, so that you're tying the community benefits related to this project to, you know,
Okay. Thank you.
what's happening.
Would say, I think we need to do that.
Yeah.
Because the only reason that we even went for the whole concept of the higher density was because we thought we were gonna
Yes.
be able to get commercial and
Community.
public space, and if I agree, it would be better suited in Ross Creek, but I think we need to.
Can I interject there? I also agree. Because we wanted to build the clubhouse in our community. The mayor has great ideas, but we don't want our money just to go to maintaining roads and to do other things like that. I mean, we are 100% behind you guys putting that parameter on, you know, that we hope the clubhouse gets built. It helps Deer Springs. I mean, it is right in the middle of the community. So I would hope you guys would put that on there.
One other thing, Thomas, in looking through the materials, is there additional items that are basically variances because they are not meeting the requirements for this amount of density? And I just want to make clear, and what I'm saying by that, for example, the pickleball court, is that in lieu of a park which is required, or how do we quantify those things that are required under our existing code? And then what things are, you know, community benefits that are being given on top of that? Because, for example, I know this is not the case here, but if no parks were given and all that was given was a pickleball court, then it's almost like you would need to make an exception for those things that are already required under the zone.
That's right. So the requirement is for subdivisions greater than 76 lots. They have to provide amenities such as park area with seating, a ball field, baseball, softball, football field, or similar, and associated parking spaces. So the proposed development is almost 3x 76 units, and so you would have to have a few ball fields or recreational fields. They've got a dog park, which you could argue is recreational for people walking with their dogs, the frisbee, golf, and the 2 pickleball courts that are in a building, and they've got the plaza right next to that. I asked them to give us the acreage of all of that because we also have a minimum acreage for open space dedication, which is approximately 6.25 acres for this. I suspect that those developments meet that area requirement, but they have to give us that information. We don't have that yet. So it gets a little bit gray when you get to the pickleball courts because those are more, the indoor pickleball courts are more than an outdoor soccer field or a small baseball field, right? They're a little bit more so. We might need to clarify that a little bit more as that goes
That
to
makes them
council.
usable year round.
Right, it makes them usable year round, so it's a little bit more than just an outdoor play court, right? So probably that, the ball, the frisbee golf, the dog park and the
And we got
plaza
And the pond park.
and the pond park. They're probably meeting it. That's certainly up to your discretion because it's a little bit general in the code, how it's outlined. But they're probably meeting both area, the dedication, the 6+ acres, as well as the amenities, but that's certainly for you guys to decide. You want me to kind of quickly walk you through that? I don't know that there's a, let me see. Alicia, is there another one here? Oh, could you go back to page 47? I mean, that is a discussion, PDF page 47. So here's the short-term rentals. Do you guys want to have a discussion with regard to short-term rentals? Again, these were in the project early on. At the last meeting, they were taken out. Are we supportive of short-term
Are they in
rentals?
now or are they not in?
Well, Nate, they're shown in, you said that they were out the last time we spoke, but they're shown in the MDA. So do you think they're in or out?
Well, I think what I said to you was we don't really care if we have them. We feel like we're on the outskirts of town. We would not turn it down if you guys wanted this and it helps sales. But it's not like we're up on the Jordanelle Parkway where we really it's a driving force. We're on the outskirts of town. So we don't want to turn it down, but if you guys don't like it over in this area, then we're completely fine with that, and I'm not going to push for it.
So that trade-off would do narrower roads or no short-term rentals. You could look at it that way.
Narrower private roads, no short-term rentals.
I wouldn't, I mean, you're looking at the overall package, right? So I wouldn't, I mean, I guess those are kind of the back and forths, but you know. He's not entitled to
No.
short-term rentals,
Right.
so.
No.
Well, I have a list of why we shouldn't have.
Yeah.
nightly rentals.
It's like I won't turn it down because it definitely helps sales. But I'm not really pushing for it at all.
Does Hideout collect any tax revenue from that, Thomas, or someone?
You do get
Well-
transient room tax revenue from.
If it's reported.
If it's
Yeah,
reported,
That's my
yeah,
concern.
that's correct.
It's not being reported.
Generally,
Across
if they're
the board,
using a,
Doesn't
Airbnb.
Airbnb self-report those?
the state collects it. There's a deal, so if you're using one of those platforms, generally the sales tax.
Yep, it's automatic, right?
If you're just doing it by word of mouth, then no.
I'll tell you what we did in Deer Springs is you guys required us to use two or three, I can't remember. You have to use a certain management company, and I think you guys gave us three to choose from, or we gave you guys names of three. And so it's not like someone can just use their own. If they're going to be in the nightly rental pool, they have to use one of those three. And it's in our development. Is it in our development agreement, Polly? I know it's in our CC&Rs, and it's
I believe it's in the development agreement just below.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and so that's how you guys are, and we haven't, we haven't closed any of those yet. We're building some now, and so we don't know how it's gonna work, but you guys did restrict us to have 3 management companies. That's all they can choose from if they decide to go in that nightly rental pool. And so I do think because of that, you guys will be getting your money.
Our
Your
reasons why we shouldn't.
I'd like to hear.
Okay, I think we have enough. We have Deer Springs, except for phase 2. And that's kind of on one side of the community, close to Richardson Flats, that's gonna have some commercial. And we have, what's the other one, Claim. And, I mean, those were built to be nightly rentals, that just is a different community. In fact, speaking of community, I think they detract from a community, and we're trying to develop a community. In fact, our general plan number 2 says cultivate an inviting neighborhood atmosphere. And I don't think having nightly rentals cultivates an inviting neighborhood atmosphere.
But it's inviting people into your neighborhood.
Different kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, different kind of atmosphere.
It's a partying atmosphere.
At the town council meeting on last Thursday, there was a 30% primary residence. And that's how many residents are full-time in Hideout? Like, that's low. I thought it was more like 50%. And so I think that having nightly rentals would keep that number low. And I don't think that's good for community. So those are my reasons why I don't think we should have nightly rentals.
I agree, as well as it seems like it's hard to actually track and collect the money from rentals, and if it's not gonna benefit us financially, then it's the incentive.
It's pretty easy, actually. Like the platforms just automatically remit if it's about money for you. Airbnb, Verbo, we've got a lot of friends in property management. So if you all want it, I mean, I don't think my opinion's, I don't think it attracts from full-time residents. I think people are still opting into this community for second homes and vacation homes. So I'm kind of for it if we could grow some revenue for the town and put it elsewhere.
But we're not currently. Right?
Well, and up front, people know if it's a nightly rental community or.
Yeah.
And maybe these nightly rentals would help the homeowners with the struggle that they are paying for their, to maintain their roads because they're private.
Roads, and
So-
I have a nightly rental in California. In fact, I'm here now. We just lease it just enough to pay our property taxes down here. So it takes us 4 or 5 weeks a year, and it pays our property taxes. And like Chase said, if it's set up right, and like I said, we have not finished a home. Well, we do, I guess in Deer Springs phase 1, but there wasn't that parameter where you had to use one of 3 or 2, I can't remember the number, management companies. So it's still, to me, the verdict is still out how much you guys can make. I know we spent thousands of dollars on studies, and hopefully Rob Sant was right in his studies that says you guys are going to make quite a bit of money with nightly rentals. So, but if you remember, I really pushed for nightly rentals in Deer Springs because that was a very favorable area being on Jordanelle Parkway.
Yeah, it's close to the ski area.
Yeah. I mean, you're only 5 more minutes away. I mean, I would love nightly rentals. To be honest, we had our worst sales month in June and so far in July that we've had since I've been in Hideout. I think it's been 6 years. The market is really slowing down. So it does help sales to have nightly rentals. So I would like them, but I'm not saying, hey, please, please, please give them to us. But I would like to see us have them with the opportunity to do that.
Could it be that the places in the R20 zones Be right there with us and then. That's it.
You could do that, absolutely. You could do the R20 and the NMU, maybe the neighborhood mixed use.
Yeah.
There was something in there. You could
That's
certainly
it.
do that.
That.
Is that the townhomes and the stacked flats?
That's
Yeah.
correct, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's great.
That makes sense.
Yeah. We'd be completely happy with that.
Well, the good thing about that would be
Private
that,
roads
um,
and nightly rentals.
the access to it is right off the road.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not like that's for people that are driving back around
Yeah.
the whole neighborhood.
It's actually open for discussion. Actually, I walked you through most of what I wanted to make sure that we pointed out specifically in the MDA. I don't know if you guys had any specific questions or with regard to the exhibits, but that was the last item in the MDA we wanted to make sure that we pointed out.
I think before we go further, we should kind of finalize how we want to see the STRs in the MDA, because I think there's a difference of opinion amongst us, so. I mean, I'm amenable to, if we limit them, like Bert said, to the stack flats and the townhomes only. I would agree to that. Chase, your feeling?
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
makes sense. Close to the road, a little bit more revenue for the town, a little bit more sales and, other options. Just, yeah. And not everyone was going to use them that way anyway. The market will decide a little bit on its own too. I don't think it'll be every unit.
And they can help pay for their road, as you said, Joel.
Yep.
Rachel, do you have anything you would like to add?
No, I think it's fine. It's just. There's the R20 and.
So then, are we? Is the planning commission amenable to modifying the MDA to? For short-term rentals solely for the stack flats and the townhomes?
Yeah.
And Nate, you don't have a problem with that?
No, absolutely not.
Sorry.
All right, I'll bring up another thing. I'm still not sure I'm comfortable with the pickleball courts and I'm wondering if there's something else we can do instead.
Rachel, the one thing I will say to that is the pickleball courts, even if the town has to maintain them, they will generate enough income.
Charge.
People pay, if you look at what, people pay at Kelsey, which is by the airport, they pay for one court, it's 4 people. You're paying $12 a person per hour. Okay, they don't have to staff it, you get when you go to play there, you get a code to get into the building that's good 20 minutes before only for 20 minutes before your hour. So you don't even need to have personnel there. You have somebody go in at the end of the night to clean it or whatever, maybe turn off the lights, but that's basically it. So it's actually it can be self-sustaining. And I will tell you, but I do play, but I can tell you the amount of people here that travel to go play, especially during the winter, because there is no place else around here. You can't get into the mark because the tennis fanatics go crazy. And so everybody's driving to Heba to the airport to play.
Okay, so that money is gonna go to the town?
That money goes to the town to maintain that facility.
And you have an online reservation.
Online
system.
reservation system, yeah. I mean, granted, depending on what time of day you play, the rates vary a little bit between $10 and $14. If that's whatever price point the town decides to set.
I personally would like to see it stay. I think it's gonna get used in any town the wind, you can't play pickleball in the wind. It's windy every afternoon there. I mean, I think it's gonna get used a tremendous amount. Especially in the winter afternoons,
At the back, you're making somewhere close to. If it's fully used, almost $100 an hour. I mean, it's not gonna be that way, but that's the potential. And with the automated access, you could have people play until 11, 12 o'clock at night, which they do at Kelsey, and 6 o'clock in the morning. So you don't need somebody there to open the door or anything like that.
They're very easy to manage, and if it's dirty, you know who was in there. I mean, it's the only thing I can think there's going to be any kind of cost is just a cleaning fee, but you'll know who's in there, and hopefully when they're paying for it, they'll take care of it.
Nate, in regard to the pickleball courts, would you be amenable to putting up like one camera or something at the front door to monitor who's coming in it, just so it could be monitored?
Sure. I mean, I think that's probably all part of the system, the door system. So yeah.
Okay, so I have written down the two things that we wanted to change in the MDA is that the money should go toward the community center elsewhere in the town. Anything else?
Well, I think that should say the monies derived from, what are we calling that exactly?
The community impact
Community
mitigation.
benefits?
Yeah, community impact mitigation fees should go to the development of a town center at a site to be determined.
It's not in Ross
Is it,
Creek.
or do you want to say Ross Creek?
Well, it could go to
Richardson Flat?
Richardson Flats. even though
Wouldn't
that's
we rather
far
have it
away.
go to Ross Creek?
Well, I mean, I don't, considering the size and some other plans that are being discussed at Ross Creek, I don't know if
To be fit.
you want to take away the acreage
Yeah.
for the community center right there, if you can find another spot for it. I think we should give ourselves, not lock ourselves into one specific site.
Yeah, but I think noting that it would go toward community center or moving public works out of Ross Creek, that would be something site specific and or, helping to launch commercial development in Ross Creek or a site to be determined. I think that's fair, so that the money is dedicated toward a community benefit, not toward general expenses for the town. I think you want to make that clear.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with either the community center or moving the maintenance shed, because that would only enhance the development of Ross Creek.
That'll open Ross Creek, yeah.
In community center, you're saying not a clubhouse, but you're saying like a commercial community center? Or are you saying?
I think it's based
specific
on-
clubhouse?
A combination of.
I think it's a combination.
Okay.
It would be either or, I suspect, is what I think, what
Yeah.
you're saying.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Say a
Is that what
community
you think,
building.
Yeah,
Okay.
it needs to drive the community, right?
But,
Mitigation.
yeah,
Community impact mitigation, community benefits, yeah.
mitigation fees.
And Nate, are you amenable to increasing that to 0.5 from 0.4?
I hate to say no, but I've said no, and I can't go higher than what my partners have agreed, and we've agreed on 0.4. And so I'd like to keep it at 0.4. And it's going to be way more, it's going to be in the $2 million range, to be honest. I mean, we're selling homes in Lakeview at, $2.5, $3 million. These are going to be every bit because the lots are nicer.
Where are we on the town
Okay.
sign and the?
He said he would throw the town sign.
We
Yeah,
have to
and
just-
they, we will add that the town,
The
the spine.
spine.
The
Yep.
spine trail and the town sign will be added to the MDA.
I didn't get permission from my wife, but I'll do that.
Nate, is that going to connect into any of the trails there that we saw today in the proposal? I mean, I know it's more of like a mass transit type
So
trail.
basically, all I'm proposing to do, I'll build the sign where you guys can get permission to build the sign. And then I'm just going to engineer that trail. So we'll have it topoed and engineered.
I got it. I see. Okay, you're not constructing it, but
No, we're not constructing it, but you guys should be able with some of this, and that's the other thing, you guys, you know, if you have cash, you can get grants is what I was told, so maybe you want some of this to go to have an opportunity to go to the spine trail.
That's what we think.
My understanding, Nate, is that we had to have the survey done before we can apply for the grants.
That's right.
Right, so the hope is we take this money, we've got about 6 of the 11 miles on 248 are in the town of Hideout. So we take the money and we coordinate with maybe our partners, Summit, Wasatch, et cetera. And we can secure grants, use this as matching funds to get the full thing fully surveyed and design engineered so that we have the drawings ready to go. And then we can coordinate with other entities. It could be UDOT, private partners, you name it, to actually get the bill.
And Nate, is that the full 11 miles, just to be clear?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what he had initially proposed, yeah.
I didn't have a mile on it, but if just the full trail, so whatever that is.
Chase, do you have any other questions, comments?
no,
Yeah.
no, it seems like some good progress today.
Did
Yeah.
we discuss versus private roads? Did we come to a consensus on that?
Well, I don't know if we need to come to a consensus, because that's what's in the MDA, and I think it would constitute
A whole new development.
yes,
Right.
so I don't know if we want to go down that road,
Yeah, I
or just accept the public roads. Considering that now we have the SDRs to fund them.
One thing also, sometimes planning commissions struggle with, you know, when you forward a recommendation, it's like you can forward it with conditions, you could forward a negative recommendation as well, but kind of very kind of legal situation where you say, but if this is gonna go forward, here are things we want you to think about. You can also do a neutral recommendation.
Holly, why would you say that?
Why would I say that?
Joke.
He's smiling.
Don't put negative out there.
Don't put ideas in our head.
I'm having a heart attack over here, Polly.
Having a heart attack.
You know, but I just had another planning commission that I was working with that was kind of, you know, so just to make it put out there that you're not, you know, this is your guys' decision.
You have
so-
flexibility how you want to recommend this.
Okay, sure. So we're gonna bring a new chairman. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but we want them to notice that and to discuss it.
You should speak out loud, so. everyone
Okay,
can
yeah,
hear
I'm
what
sorry,
you're
I'm
talking
sorry, cause I'm collecting a
Yeah.
proposal for a motion for number 5.
And have you guys opened the public hearing?
Not yet, we're still talking about the MDA.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure we all agreed on certain language for the short-term rentals and everything else, right? Are there any more questions or discussions needed for the master development agreement?
And what do we think about the commercial?
Yes, thank you, Rich.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
I would like to see a time frame put on that. Before, or and if not developed, it gets turned over to the town as developer had recommended.
And guardrails is.
Yeah.
If we can craft those guardrails and put a 5-year time limit, I think is what you
Yes.
threw out, okay.
Now, could the guardrails just be that he has to come in front of us for approval?
We could do that, if you guys wanted it to come back for. approval,
Rather than
that's what we
making
do
it
that.
specific, this
Yeah,
way
that's a
he
good
can come
idea.
with a certain plan that we can
So
discuss.
maybe what we do is we require a conditional use permit where it has to come to planning commission for review.
Perfect.
Could you wrap that into the MDA bond?
Yeah, this would, commercial would be an allowed use otherwise.
Commercial's an allowed use, but in NMU, certain commercial is a conditional use. Like even retail is a conditional use, believe it or not, in that area, because it's trying to focus on entertainment, bars, restaurants, things, so maybe we do a CUP for that one.
Right. I think the other question is too, is are you, you know, just hearing the history of this location, there's always been, you know, it's kind of morphed. Because initially this was going to be a you know, there was proposals with the hotel on it. There were proposals with other commercial, and those all didn't go forward for, you know, variety of reasons, but so. I guess I just wanna make sure, if you say, you know, commercial, the way it's written right now, it's up to the developer 100% what's put there, or if it's put there, or even, I mean, you're just saying 5 years or else we get it. That can be fine, that's, you know, that's what you guys are evaluating.
But wouldn't the conditional use permit dictate that he would have to come back before us to put anything there? But to
So
get
what-
approval for stuff there?
Yeah, and then what's the alternative that, so if you guys don't like it and well, conditional uses are really allowed uses so long as, I mean, it means that you'll see them again, but as long as the impacts are mitigated, then it's allowed. So for example, I don't know, like, if office is considered commercial, like if you guys want to dictate what type of things, what the uses are, what the size of it are, this is your opportunity. If you don't care and you're happy with the alternative, that if he does something and, well, then, you know, that's what you're weighing.
My feeling is we don't know how everything's gonna develop, and maybe we decide down the road that we want
Well,
something
what-
more
I don't know.
recreational as opposed to.
If you don't
commercial, but,
specify
I
it
mean,
now, I think what Polly's saying is that we can't specify it later after the NDA is signed,
That's
correct?
right, that's
Right.
So we
What
can't
this
make
is,
it a
you gotta
flexible
stand by
space that
whatever-
we revisit in 5 years?
No, because if he wants to come and develop it
Before the 5 years.
before the 5 years are up, he can develop it then.
I'm saying we can't specify that we would like to have the opportunity to make a decision down the road.
Well, that would constitute issuing the conditional use permit, which doesn't exactly nail him to what we want. He could, if we don't like it, he could still basically go and do what he wants, correct, Polly?
Yeah, it's whatever guidelines you
Yeah.
put in there,
I
so.
mean, if you think you know what you want, something that's more neighborhood commercial, neighborhood retail oriented, you know, bar, an ice cream shop, a yoga shop, a restaurant, we could put those into the MDA. If, we could also put a clause, if the applicant wishes to pursue something different, that they can always amend the MDA and then come back to you as well.
What about,
That's always an outlet.
what about saying that it has to have a retail component right now?
Or how about it has to have some kind of component that, since it's next to the trails and the dog park and all the
That would be
recreational
retail.
stuff. No, it could be a little snack bar, kind of like it, was that considered retail?
That'd be considered retail.
I thought retail was just selling, well,
Selling
selling stuff.
We could say retail food oriented drink, or we could come up with some language. If you guys are comfortable, I bet we can
Yeah,
coordinate something like that. But I think I know what you're looking at, is something neighborhood commercial, but also kind of connected to the context sensitivity to the land, to the recreational components.
Kind of like
Okay,
the Deer Valley,
the cafe,
yeah,
Yeah.
cafe, the grocery store, or whatever it's called.
we can do that. Nate, we can coordinate that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that you don't want to see like boat storage and stuff like that. You want to see some kind of.
Right. Yeah,
What size is, what's the maximum size of this commercial space again?
14,000. I think it's about 14, just under 14,000.
That could be developed on it though.
No, that's the size of the lot.
That's
size
the
of
lot.
structure.
That's the lot.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
with
could do
park-
2 stories.
Probably with parking, and everything, you could probably build at the most, maybe 6,000 square feet on there.
Yeah.
On a 50,000 square foot lot.
That's a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
You know?
So,
Are there any other questions in regard to the MDA? Okay, there being none, then we will now open item 4, which is the hideout zoning map to rezone the parcels of for Elkhorn Springs Mountain residential 6, residential 20, residential 3, and natural preservation, and not neighborhood mixed use. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to make a comment?
Of course.
Please go up to the podium, state your name and address. And start your 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Brian Cooper, I live 11266 North Shoreline Court. I'd just like to say, I'm kind of with Glennis when it comes to private roads, right? And I'd like to bring up one particular risk that you have, because it's not just the roads, it's the infrastructure that goes along with it. So you've got water, sewer, drainage, power, gas, internet, all that stuff, right? So where all that stuff intersects with a spine road, which is the public infrastructure, and it all has to connect to that. There's a risk there that if there's some problem at that juncture, who pays for the repair? Right? Is it the HOA? They're gonna say no. All right, what's probably gonna happen is the town's gonna fix it and say, oh, wait a minute, the HOA should have fixed this. So I think there's a potential risk there. The second risk is I'm willing to bet that homeowners aren't gonna really know what the long-term cost is gonna be to maintain those roads, because I know Nate does a good job, you know, his builders do a great job putting in the infrastructure. But 5-10 years down the road, that's when the maintenance costs come in, and their HOA fees are gonna go through the roof. And I don't think anybody buying the house is gonna know what that is. They're not gonna think about that when they buy it. So you have a risk of the HOA going bankrupt in like 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, right? And then the town is they're gonna say, town, take it over. If it's not built to our standards, we say no. And then the neighborhood goes to crap. So
I don't think the town has an option to not take the roads over if the HOA goes bankrupt. They
if
can't
they're
say no.
not built to town standards, they don't have to.
Yeah, we can't, the town will not take the roads if they're not to our standard.
In fact, the new law for the fire code says the roads have to be these certain widths. So, and that's what our new town code follows.
For public roads.
For public roads, right. But if you take them over, they're become public roads. So that's the catch-22 that I see, that I think you should think about.
I have a question about the private roads. Nate, are you putting any infrastructure under the pavement?
yeah, you mean, water,
Yes.
sewer, yes, storm drain, yes.
Yeah, they have to by law.
Those are pretty typical to be located under the actual pavement, but dry utilities such as, you know, the cable, the
Yeah,
utility,
right.
those
They go
lines
off on the
will
side.
be in
Yeah.
a public utility easement, yeah.
And the other thing is, I love the idea of taking the mitigation money and applying it to a community center more centrally located like at Ross Creek. But I would advise that you coordinate with an economic development committee, because they have lots of ideas for that and probably could be combined. I'd like to see a community center that also maybe is a wedding venue or, you know, restaurant that, you know, has other income.
Brian, the only issue with that is that we're beyond that point because of time constraints now. That to adjourn that and meet with the EDC, and I am on the EDC, so I know what.
Well,
The
your provision is
different plans that have been
But
discussed there.
you said you could do a site TBD, that covers that, right? You can do that later.
Is there anybody online that would like to make a comment in regard to item number 4?
There is one person with their hand up,
And that is,
Carla
Matthias.
Mathias.
please state your name and address, Carla.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Carla Matthiasen, and my husband Mark and I are property owners at 1824 East Wrangler Drive in Golden Eagle. We do plan on building our forever home and being full-time residents of Hideout, hopefully in the near future. First, want to thank you for removing the nightly rentals from the single-family homes in the Elkhorn Springs development. We were adamantly against that, buying in Hideout. We knew they weren't allowed, so thank you for taking those away. We do respectfully request a more thoughtful transition in the density between the custom homes in Golden Eagle and the Elkhorn Springs development. Specifically, we believe that the R3 zoning should begin at the property line dividing these two areas and continue down towards the pond where the current R3 is noted on the map. This would create a more appropriate buffer between the high-density development and existing low-density neighborhoods that are being proposed. As everybody knows and who's been up there, the Salzman property represents, I mean, it's beautiful, it's untouched. The views are incredible. From our property, you can hear the crickets and the frogs from the pond. And it's truly very, very special. And we just want to try to maintain as much of that unique and specialness of that property as possible. Giving its setting and significance, any development on this parcel should be approached with care and respect to allow it to have the natural beauty and blend in with the surrounding neighborhoods that are already there. So thank you for your consideration on that.
Thank you. Is there anybody else online in regard to item number 4? And there being no one, then we will close public discussion on item number 4. Item number 5, the master development agreement. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment in regard to that? There being no one, we will now, is there anyone online that would like to make a comment in regard to the master development agreement as discussed here previously? Everybody got their hand up? And there being no hands raised online, we will close the public comment section in regard to item number 5.
Okay. You want a motion?
Sure.
Okay, I'll do a motion related to
Item number 4 first.
item number 4.
Recommendation.
Yes. I
Before you
propose,
start, for the purposes of this meeting, as Donna is not here, Chase will be voting in her place. For the record.
okay, I propose we have a positive recommendation to town council regarding an amendment of the official town of Hideout zoning map to rezone the named parcels in the Elkhorn Springs development from mountain zone to neighborhood mixed use, residential 3, residential 20, and natural and residential 6, and natural preservation.
Did you say natural, NNU neighborhood mixed use as well?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, is anybody, we'll take a vote on that then?
Do we have a
Second.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, so then we'll take a vote on that. Chase, you go first.
Could I
Yes.
just ask one?
Sorry, hang on, Chase.
Just to note that as part of that, there are some recommended minor modifications, such as opening up one of those little wildlife corridors, some minor tweaks, maybe some setbacks against Golden Eagle, that we would work with the developer to tweak that a little bit prior to going to council.
With the waivers, exceptions, variances request, that's for the MDA.
That'll be part of the MDA. This is more it could be some potential tweaks to the site plan, just as noted in the staff report and discussed here tonight, that we would work with them prior to going to council.
Okay.
Okay.
Kathleen?
What he said.
Chase? Go ahead.
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
Glynis?
Reluctantly, yes.
Rachel?
Yeah, reluctantly, yes.
Brian?
Right.
Brad, sorry.
Yeah.
I was reading.
I know, you're looking right at.
Now I'm an alternate.
Yeah.
You can look at me all night.
Yes.
And Tony's a yes. Therefore, we will make a positive recommendation on
Yes.
item number 4 to the town council.
Brad's not. Brad's an alternate.
Yes, but I always
Yeah, but-
ask his,
Okay, you just want his input?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
that we make a positive recommendation that the Elkhorn Springs development be rezoned from mountain zone to neighborhood mixed use, residential 6, residential 20, and natural preservation, and 03. I-
This is tied to the NDA, isn't it, though?
Excuse me,
Like, we,
Well, now we get to.
now we.
but we
the
wouldn't do it without
NDA.
the NDA being approved.
Okay, now we will, would anybody like to make a recommendation in regard to item 5?
I have everything written down if you want me to try.
Let her rip.
I propose a positive recommendation to town council regarding the master development agreement for the Elkhorn Springs development. With a few changes. One, the survey for the spine trail, full 11 miles is included and the sign is included. Number 2, money.
Survey and design.
Survey and design,
Okay.
okay, survey and design. And that the monies derived from the community impact mitigation fees go toward a community center, moving public works, or launching commercial elsewhere in the town. And number 3, that nightly rentals only occur in the NMU and R20 areas of the development. And number 4, that regarding the commercial area, the developer has 5 years to develop, or it reverts to the town with the developer
With the
has a
guy.
conditional use permit, so that they would have to come back for approval. And or that it go to a retail type space.
Neighborhood retail.
Neighborhood commercial retail that will coordinate for inclusion in this MDA.
Yes.
Okay, the criteria.
Do we also need to add that it's 1.5, just as the correction?
Yes, and with the correction
I thought
of
that
the
was
first.
First payment being
Number-
1.5
Yeah,
instead of.
oh, in the MDA. Yeah, there's one. Okay.
Yes. MDA, so 1.5 for the 1.5 million for the first payment, 1.5 million for the second payment. Okay.
Yes.
Anyone else?
You said, and you included the sign.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
You did.
oh, but I do have one other addendum. to that. That the town council be aware that they are private roads, and there have been a number of points brought up about the about them being the risks in having private roads.
Then, would anybody like to second that motion?
Could I just,
Yeah,
just to note that we've got some red lines and some details that we would like to work out with the developer, that those are included as part of the conditional, as part of the conditions to finalize the input. Yes.
Yes.
okay. Anybody seconding?
Chase did.
Second, please.
Thank you, Chase.
Okay, Chase, you're up.
All right, yes.
Joel,
Yes.
Glennis,
Yes.
Rachel,
I'll say reluctantly, yes.
Brad,
Also have the nine rentals in those
Yes.
two areas, so yes.
and Tony's a yes. Therefore, we'll make a positive recommendation that with the changes, recommendations that the planning commission made, that it gets a positive recommendation to the town council for the MDA for Elkhorn Springs development. That being said, I think that concludes the business of the planning commission for this evening.
Congratulations, Nate.
Thank you. Thank you for all the hard work everyone's done and all your
Good
time.
luck going forward.
Yes, thank you. This is Eric. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now your fun really starts.
Yeah, good luck, guys.
Thank you.
I
Thank you. Take a vote. Rachel,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Glynis,
yes.
Joel.
Yes.
Chase,
Yes.
and Tony's a yes. Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
being and participating. And we'll see you